together.
Not one step back.
Forward together.
Not one step back.
I am truly honored and privileged to stand with this powerful army of dissenters who refuse to accept the status quo and choose instead to demand what belongs to all of us by virtue of being a creation of the divine, and that is life. For far too long, this nation and its systems of greed that place profits over people has denied too many of its citizens its fundamental rights. According to the Declaration of Human Rights, everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of themselves and for his or her family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care, and necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of unemployment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age, or lack of livelihood in circumstances beyond his or her control. The World Health Organization echoes this sentiment, stating that the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health is one of the fundamental rights of every human being, without distinction of race, religion, political belief, economic or social condition. It goes on to say that governments have a responsibility for the health of their people, which can be fulfilled only by the provision of adequate health and social measures. Through sheer neglect and deliberate actions that inflict harm rather than promote healing, this country has failed too many of its citizens for far too long. This society is sick, and it has made poor folks and black folks and indigenous folks and Hispanic folks all across this country sick. And then it has denied the very people who have been made sick by this sick society access to the kind of health care that we all need. This is immoral and speaks volumes about the way the system values death over life. In 2018, there were 87 million people who were uninsured and underinsured. This year, close to 12 million people have lost their employer-based sponsored health care. Millions fall into a coverage gap where private insurance is too expensive, but their income is above the Medicaid cutoff. And approximately 25,000 people die every year from being uninsured. In the middle of a global pandemic that has claimed the lives and the souls of 1 million souls worldwide, and over 200 souls here in the United States, we must force a reckoning with this immoral reality. That is why the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, has mobilized and galvanized thousands across this country to demand a truly transformative agenda designed to radically restructure our society. The Jubilee platform is bold, reimagined vision for this country with an emphasis of undoing the policy violence inflicted on those who have been marginalized. Part 4 of the platform calls on the federal government to secure the blessings of liberty, the right to health and a healthy environment. This demand is aligned with the reason we are all here today, to force the powers to be to ensure Medicaid for everyone. In closing, I want to remind us, it is essential in this moment, when we have experienced so much death and so much despair and so much suffering, that we have to always keep at the forefront of our minds the names, the faces, the souls of those who have been the casualties of the unjust systems that this nation has created. One of my heroes in this movement is a woman by the name of Callie Greer, one of the faithful foot soldiers of the Poor People's Campaign in Alabama, who often tells her story of her daughter Venus, who died of breast cancer because Alabama has refused to expand Medicaid. She has said on many occasions that Venus should not be dead. Venus should not be dead. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people should not be dead. But it's the willful and deliberate policy violence that killed her and killed so many more. In 2018, in the shadow of the halls of power, Callie reminded us of her daughter Venus and let out a wail and a cry that comes from the depths of a mother's despair. She laid her pain bare so that we would be moved to walk in our power. Callie's cries echo thousands across this country, and in this moment of so much death, of so much despair, and so much suffering, we too must let out our cries. We will no longer accept the current reality in which we live. We will no longer accept the avoidable and unnatural deaths due to policy violence. We will no longer permit this nation to spend millions militarizing and terrorizing our black and brown communities, but failing to give those same communities the resources they need to thrive. We will no longer accept CEOs making millions off the backs of workers who can barely make ends meet for themselves and for their families. We will no longer accept a society that creates the conditions that cause death and pain and suffering, yet denies individuals, families, and communities the life-giving services that we all deserve. We will, like Callie Greer, from Alabama to Arkansas to Philadelphia to California to Alaska, cry out, spare not, and force those in power to hear our wails. In this moment, this nation has a choice. With a pandemic that has shown us who we have been and shown us who we are, we have a choice. Will we choose death and continue to deny people and communities the fundamental right to health? Or will we choose life and ensure that everybody has the right to live? We are the Medicaid Army. We are an unsettling force. We are here going forward together, not one step back.
Give it up for Dr. Sharrelle Barber.